Terry finds Viren, who is surprisingly alive. Viren rejoins Claudia, only to find that she completed the ritual by sacrificing the being to bring him back. Aghast at what Claudia has sacrificed for his sake and determined to seek redemption, Viren leaves her and Terry against Claudia's pleas. In Katalis, the Royal Council discusses what to do with the pearl contained in Erebos' prison. Callum suggests that they destroy it, while Ezrin suggests that they keep it safe in Katalis. That night, Callum briefly falls under Erebos' direct control. Determined to end his threat, and after creating a decoy pearl, he, accompanied by Rayla, Stella, and Sneasels, leaves Katalis to travel to the Starscraper to find out how to destroy the pearl, while Soren, Zim, and Hat set off to look for the still missing Zubeia. Soren's group travels to Lux Aurea to ask Corvus for help in tracking down Zubeia. They encounter Muko, the mushroom mage, who leads them to the Dragon Queen. While Zubeia is happy to see her son, she is unable to join him yet, as her infection needs more time to heal. Janai is consumed by her anger and self-doubt triggered by Miana's betrayal until Amaya succeeds in restoring her confidence. While Kareem rallies his followers to fight for his idea of the supremacy of Sunfire elf culture, Janai calls to her remaining people and their human allies for trust and unity and plans to move up her wedding with Amaya. Despondent over her father's departure, Claudia entrusts herself fully to Terry's care and he fashions her a wooden prosthetic leg. To reach the Starscraper, Callum and Rayla must cross a vast frozen lake. They come upon a wrecked ship trapped in the ice, and while Rayla explores it, she finds the diary of its captain, Esmeralda Skull, in which she wrote about her regrets over not confessing her feelings to the love of her life. Callum and Rayla are forced to spend the night inside the wreck. As they begin opening up to each other, Callum confesses his use of dark magic aboard the Sea Legs. During their resulting argument, a fire is accidentally triggered and the ship sinks beneath the ice, forcing Callum and Rayla to abandon it. Callum elicits a promise from Rayla that she must kill him if Erebos takes him over. Meanwhile, Viren arrives in Katalis and surrenders himself. Callum and Rayla arrive at and gain entry to the Starscraper, where the Elder of the Celestial Elves tells them that Startouch elves, manifestations of the stars themselves, cannot be killed permanently, and the Nova Blade only destroys their mortal vessels, which is the reason Erebos was imprisoned and not eliminated. However, Callum and Rayla learn that they are the Chosen Two, central figures to a prophecy promising the Celestial Elves the ability to see the light of the stars, which is sacred to them, by killing an ice behemoth who shrouds the sky above the Starscraper with a perpetual ice storm. Claudia is beginning to feel torn about either freeing Erebos or turning away from dark magic, and decides to meet with her father to try and reconcile with him and come to a decision. Kareem brings the Sun Seed to Sol Regem, who agrees to help him once his wings are healed instead of his eyes. Upon returning to Katalis, Soren learns of his father's return. Soren visits his father in the dungeon, where Viren expresses his sincere regrets but is ignored by his son. Despite Rayla's skepticism, Callum decides to help the Celestial Elves. As they confront the ice behemoth, Rayla realizes that the creature is the former companion of the archdragon Luna Tenebris, and that it creates ice storms in its grief over losing her. Rayla calms the creature, ending the storm and fulfilling the prophecy. In return, the grateful Celestial Elves gift them with 3 rare Quasar diamonds, which would enable Rayla to free her parents and Runan from their imprisonment. Cosmo, one of the elves, receives the gift of prophecy, but upon beholding Callum, he sees darkness consuming him in the future. In his prison, Erebos feels content that he can use either Callum or Viren to ensure his release. Cosmo discovers that the pearl Rayla and Callum have been carrying is its decoy counterpart, likely switched with its original due to Erebos' influence over Callum. After viewing a future where Callum sinks into utter depression over his failure, Cosmo decides to withhold the truth. With the guidance of Cosmo and his sister Astrid, Callum undergoes a ritual to help him fight the dark corruption by letting him find his innermost truth. This prompts him to forgive Rayla for her 2-year absence, and they reaffirm their love. In Katalis, Viren writes a letter to Soren confessing how he decided to use dark magic to save his son, who was deathly sick in his childhood. How he betrayed and cursed his former mentor, Kapar, to gain his power, and how his deeds broke their family apart. But upon seeing Soren, he destroys his confession, deciding that this truth would cause even more harm between them. Taking their leave from the Star Scraper, Callum and Rayla travel through the air back to the Moon Nexus to enable the release of Rayla's parents. Just as Janai and Amaya prepare for their wedding, Kareem and his renegade army march on Lax Oria. Ezran, Corvus, and Anya, who have attended the wedding, try to negotiate, but Kareem imprisons them once they realize Sol Regem's role in Kareem's plans. With Zim and Anya's help, Ezran escapes but fails to warn Amaya and Janai in time. As the battle between Janai and Kareem's armies commences, a confident Kareem assumes an easy victory with Sol Regem on his side, but the Archdragon never arrives and Kareem's army is quickly overwhelmed. Instead of helping Kareem, Sol Regem flies off to attack the human realms, starting with Katalis. With pharaohs riding him, Sol Regem assaults the capital of Katalis, and Soren orders an evacuation of the city and frees his father from the dungeon so he can help defend their people. Despite his reluctance to use dark magic once more, Varen uses a spell to shield the people from Sol Regem's fire, sacrificing his own life to empower it. After the destruction of Katalis, as Sol Regem lies dying from his injuries sustained in the attack, Erebos possesses Pharaohs and mocks him, revealing that he previously tricked the Archdragon into killing his own mate to exploit his rage. Enraged by the deception, Sol Regem devours Pharaohs but then chokes on his body. Claudia and Terry arrive at Katalis, and as Claudia weeps over her father's body, Erebos reaches out to her and tells her she can honor her father by casting the spell to free Erebos from his prison. Callum and Rayla arrive at the Moon Nexus, where they meet up with Lujane and Alan. Lujane determines that one of the Quasar diamonds they received is a fake, severely limiting Rayla's choices of whom she can release from the cursed coins. Claudia finds Erebos' pearl prison and prepares to break him free. She casts the spell, but it doesn't work. Erebos tells her that they are stardust, held together by love, so the spell must be cast with love. Claudia doesn't know how to do that, but Erebos understands how much Claudia's father loved her, because he too had a daughter he loved deeply. He called her his unicorn because she was born with only one horn. She was unique and quirky, loved the world and all its flaws, and befriended mortals, animals, and elves. Her name was Leola. One day, Leola was brought before cosmic justice and claimed not to be innocent. She was accused of breaking the cosmic order by giving magic to humans. They had proof, a witness, the dragon prince himself, Anak Arau. They wanted her to pay the price. The council offered Erebos the chance to die with her, but he chose to live. His life took on new purpose as he hugged his daughter and bid her farewell. Erebos knelt over his daughter's fallen form and the empty crater left when she fell. He wept for a century, and his tears filled the crater, becoming the sea of the cast out. After hearing his tragic story, Claudia starts weeping. Now she's ready to cast the spell with love. Terry tries to talk her out of it and shows her the bones of the archdragon who betrayed Erebos, convinced that Erebos is motivated by revenge, not love. Claudia believes Erebos did what was necessary and proceeds to free him. Meanwhile, Rayla has only 2 Quasar diamonds and 3 trapped souls. She can only save 2 of them. She's unable to choose between Runan and her parents. She learns that the portal will open when the moon's reflection fills the lake, and is told that the coins will guide her once she's inside. On the other side, the rest of the soul from each coin longs to be whole again, as it cannot pass into death incomplete. The broken souls of her family will be drawn to the coins. Callum offers her a bracelet of moon phoenix feathers, which will let her come back to him. He begs her not to die, and she kisses him. Rayla jumps into the Moonshadow spirit realm and finds Runan, who has become a tortured soul in his loneliness. He attacks her, but she pleads with him to stop. She knows that he's broken and promises to make him whole again. When she flees from him, she encounters the spirits of her parents, spending time together happily. She reunites with them and dances with them. She shares that she and 2 human princes found the egg, stopped the Dark Mage, and took the Dragon Prince home to his mother. Her parents are proud of her and call her a hero. Rayla gives them their coins and bids them farewell, accepting their passing. Now she knows how to bring Runan back. She fights him and refuses to let him go, reminding him that he raised her and taught her never to break her promises. She calls him out for breaking one of his. He remembers Athari and the fact that Rayla is his daughter, and agrees to go back with her. Callum uses his mage abilities to complete the summoning ritual that brings Runan back to life. Claudia hugs Runan, but Callum gasps in shock upon seeing Catullus. On the day of General Amaya and Janai's wedding, Ezran cries, feeling devastated after learning the fate of Catullus.